Hi, Doug Montgomery with Global Connects Media. We had a lot of questions about hard power. I want to give you a chance to swing back to soft power. We started talking about baseball at the very beginning. I know Dan's a big fan. You're a big fan, obviously. There was a survey done by the Chicago Council of Surveys that was talking about the Americans' positive view of foreign leaders. Number 1 was Zelensky. Number 2 was Kishida, and number 3 was Yoon. You cannot tell me that Americans know who Kishida is, but Americans know who Shohei Ohtani is. They know anime, they know Japanese food. The power of soft power is immense. So my question to you, and I'm framing it as a question, but it's really an opinion. Everybody else pretends they have a question, but actually have an opinion. I have an opinion.
Joseph Nye would be really proud of your question, the author of Soft Power.
Regardless, it's huge, right? So capturing hearts and minds actually is what really builds the strength between the two countries. What would be your recommendation to the next guy or gal who comes in the chair? And then what would be your recommendation to the Japanese government as well?
Well, it's a very good question that, you could do days of seminars and discussions. You point on baseball, and it's a fair, legitimate national pastime of both countries. Truth is, of all 3 countries in the trilat. But I would like to note a couple things. I said this earlier, maybe I didn't make a finer point on it. The United States and Japan are treaty allies. But if you limited it to that, you wouldn't appreciate the relationship. It's a friendship. You point to, you're going to have 2 baseball teams, the United States, Chicago Cubs and LA Dodgers, both have 2 Japanese players on both teams. Drive My Car, I love that movie, so I'm going to go to it. Fabulous movie, won at the Oscars a few years ago. You have both the University of Chicago and Tokyo University and Seoul National University participating in a $150 million privately financed quantum computing research between the 3 universities and professors and students. You have AI work between multiple universities in the United States and multiple universities in Japan. We've also done almost $500 million, just shy, of joint research between Japan universities and the United States. That's people to people, that's soft power, in promising fields of AI, semiconductors, to quantum computing. There's movies, there's baseball. I don't, as a father of 3, not anymore, but at one time university students, just a short time ago, I don't think there's a college campus in the United States or university of size that does not have an anime club. Just a fact. And that tells you of the affinity. I did not know the data point on Prime Minister Kishida, but I do know the data point that this is 3 years back, that Japan was, I think, 3rd or 4th ranking in the United States of most admired countries. I joke, I want this as a joke, given how many people from the United States have come over to Japan as tourists and they're coming over and think that we're best of friends. I'm for COVID restrictions, because that's a joke, obviously dead on you guys, because I've had way too many people come and think that we're friends and think that I'm nothing but a travel agent for them. But it does tell you the respect and the, more than alliance, but the friendship and the affinity between the United States and Japan. And lastly, and just a little anecdote, but it gets to the spirit of what you call soft power. When Phil Goldberg, my colleague, and I, a colleague in South Korea, and I were advocating for a re-energized attempt at a trilateral, inside both the National Security Council and the State Department, one of the things that we pointed to, which is why this was different, was the most prominent art form in Korea, foreign art form in Korea, is anime. And the most prominent art form here, foreign, in Japan, is K-pop. You laugh. But 2, I'm not one for standing in lines. There's not a Korean restaurant that you don't have to stand in line on in Japan. And also that's true in Korea of Japanese cuisine. And if you look at opinions of everybody in Japan and Korea that's 35 or younger, they have a different view of the other country than their parents and grandparents. And one of the arguments that Phil and I made internally was you are misreading both the politics of the region and the politics of the moment in both countries respectively. Taking nothing away from President Biden, President Yoon, or Prime Minister Kishida, their societies and the people in the society were ahead of where the politics were, which means they could lead. And as Richard J. Daley, the old man Daley, used to say, when you see a parade, get a baton and get in front of it. And the Japanese people and the Korean people are a part of a parade that their leaders got in front of and led it appropriately. And it took leadership, it took courage, and it took determination in all three leaders. But you are, I could spend hours, and I want to leave time for other questions, but whether you call it, I hate the connotation of soft power versus hard power, but it is an unbelievable determining fact in building and leading and changing politics between two countries. And I'll close on this. In the U.S. ambassador's residence there's a big room. That room is where General MacArthur received the emperor, so it has history. We're going to be coming on this year a milestone in the U.S. Japan alliance. It stands as an example that in an era of time that's got two major hot wars going on, that two bitterest of foes can become the best of friends, both through dialogue and diplomacy. Okay?
All right. We've hit time. We can probably squeeze in just a very short question, sir.
Short.
Okay, I'm going to ask such a short question, though.
You can ask as long as you want. The answer will be short.
Okay.
No.
What do you think the biggest achievement during your 3 years in the office, and what are you going to do after you come back